The Best Feature Films Shot on a Smartphone, Part 1. But before our main presentation, here are some short films that were shot by some well-known directors to get you a little bit in the mood. Zack Snyder is the director of a few big budget blockbusters, including 300 Spartans, Watchmen, Legend of the Guardians, Man of Steel, and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. A couple of years ago, he released a 4-minute short film, Snow, Steam, Iron, shot on an iPhone 7 Plus. Snyder had stepped away from Justice League while he and his wife dealt with the death of their 20-year-old daughter, Autumn. He created Snow, Steam, Iron, saying he wanted to be around family and friends, and making a movie was the easiest way to do that. He enlisted friend Samantha Joe, who appeared in Wonder Woman, for the lead role. They shot the whole thing in a weekend in and around Snyder's office on the Warner Brothers lot in Los Angeles. In this shot, you can see 2 iPhones are being used at the same time. One is mounted to a camera slider on a tripod, which was also mounted using a beast grip. The second is handheld, mounted on a smartphone gimbal. Here's that camera slider again, and in this behind-the-scenes shot, we can see FiLMiC Pro being used. Michel Gondry is a French director, screenwriter, and producer noted for his inventive visual style and distinctive manipulation of mise en scène. He is known for directing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Be Kind, Rewind, and The Green Hornet. Plus, he's directed a number of TV show episodes, music videos, and short films. Like Snow, Steam, Iron, Detour was shot on an iPhone 7 Plus. The story is told from the perspective of a small tricycle that falls off the back of a car. In order to reunite its owners, the tricycle embarks on an adventure across the countryside, where it meets various amusing characters that help guide its return home. We can see Gondry animating some titles. The iPhone is mounted using a beast grip onto a hefty-looking tripod. After shooting his Sundance hit Tangerine, a feature film shot on iPhone 5s, Sean Baker was back behind the mobile device to helm a short film called Snowbird. Baker teamed up with fashion label Kenso to create a stunning short film which contains a beautiful, dreamy, surreal quality worthy of Lewis Carroll. The film stars model Abby Lee of Mad Max: Fury Road. "I don't see myself as a short film director, and I'm not a commercial director," Baker told the New York Times, "but there was something about fashion films. Because there would be a narrative and because I would be able to experiment, it was so appealing. This was the first time I was actually excited by a project I was being commissioned for." Sean Baker was working on iPhone films before motorized 3-axis gimbals became commonplace, so you can see him here using the old Steadicam Smoothie. Without a motor, those beautiful smooth shots are much harder to get when the gimbal can swing freely. In this still, you can see Sean Baker holding his iPhone S, and I can spy a Moondog Labs anamorphic lens too. Notice too they're shooting as the sun goes down to get that perfect twilight mood. But now onto the full-length movies shot on smartphones. Is this the first full-length film shot on a mobile phone? Does it really matter? I originally thought a film called Olive was the first, shot in 2011, but then I discovered SMS Sugarman was made 3 years before that. The device used was a Sony Ericsson W900i, and given the sexual content contained in the film, it's not surprising Sony didn't champion the film at the time. The Sony Ericsson W900i was released in early 2005 and was the first of this series to feature a graphics chip. The phone also had above-average video and camera capabilities. The phone had a 2-megapixel camera, about half a gigabyte internal memory, and could shoot up to 320p resolution video. A review at the time was written by a journalist who admits he doesn't own a cell phone with a camera, but he goes on to describe the film. The entire plot of the film takes place on one Christmas Eve, and director Kaganov and cinematographer Aaron Tahor suffuse their scenes in yellow and red hues. views. The effect of this, however, is to give the film a less overall holiday feel and instead nicely gives the impression that these characters are burning in the fires that they've stoked for themselves. Kaganov himself plays the lead character. The result is true punk filmmaking with very rough image quality and plenty of sexual content. The quality is probably just below old 8mm footage, and for that reason it's perhaps a little hard to watch. The full movie has been uploaded to Vimeo and I'll put a link in the description below. There's also a short making of movie you can watch if you want the full phone filmmaking history experience. This film was billed as a story about a little girl who transforms the lives of 3 people without speaking one word. There was even a Hollywood star among the cast, Gina Rowlands, an actress nominated for 2 Oscars for her work with her husband, John Cassavetes. When they failed to get money from Nokia, they turned to Chris Kelly, former chief privacy officer of Facebook, and in the end, they had a weighty budget of just under $500,000. The film was shot on a Nokia N8. Video shooting options were 720p at 25 frames per second or 720p at 30 frames per second. Available online, you can find the first 5 minutes, and I'll put a link in the description below. The film never acquired distribution, and as far as I know, it has never been released, so I can only judge it from the first 5 minutes here. However, we have to give it a mention simply because it's the only film shot on a Nokia that cost $500,000. Plus, I love the early DIY smartphone filmmaking inventions, such as a drone created by taping the phone to a remote-controlled toy helicopter. Produced in the winter of 2012, I Play With the Phrase of Each Other was shot on an iPhone 4. The film is made up of a series of interconnected phone conversations, so it's a film about phone calls shot on a phone. In style, it's reminiscent of the mumblecore movement, 20 to 30-somethings in the midst of existential crisis movies, talking to each other about the minutiae of their lives and feelings. Think Richard Linklater's first film, 1990 comedy drama Slacker, where the subtlety is in the mundane. It's all black and white with plenty of noise in the shadows. Considering the number of shallow depth of field shots in the film, we must assume Alvarez used some kind of cinema lens mounted to the phone. There's telltale dark shadows clearly in the corners of some shots, which is another clue about an add-on lens. The story of how Alvarez raised money for the film is befittingly quirky. The project started when he was a member of an organization which was against forms of wireless pollution. A leader of the group commissioned him to write a screenplay about characters who die of brain cancer from their incessant use of mobile phones. Unfortunately, the commissioner himself died in a car accident before the script was completed, but Alvarez continued with the script. He later raised money to shoot the film by selling music equipment on Craigslist. Alvarez has published a video about his experience taking the film to film festivals. The film was screened at the Slam Dance and Rain Dance film festivals and is available on YouTube for free to watch. I'll leave another link in the description. The film was shot and directed by cinematographer Ricky Foshheim and started as a Kickstarter project in 2012, raising just over $10,000 from 28 backers. Reminiscent of films such as Jacob's Ladder, the story is told in the form of disjointed, confused memories of a character who has suffered a severe head injury. With iPhone video now starting to compare favorably with 16mm film, the filmmakers decided to shoot the entire film using an iPhone 5. They added a turtle jacket Penta-I lens wheel in order to shoot with Nikon Cinema Prime lenses as conversion lenses.
Basically, the iPhone 5 just slips into this case, screw it on back here, and then you attach to your lens adapter, which is just this device right here.
Foshheim says, in the middle of the lens adapter is a glass focusing screen with a patterned texture, almost like a fingerprint. Hair, dirt and oil from my hands would always get stuck on these focusing screens. I completely welcomed these textured imperfections and chose not to clean or replace any of the dirty parts. At times, I would even add dust and dirt.
I used an app called FiLMiC Pro 2, which was really easy to use. You just adjust your white balance, adjust your exposure, and then adjust the focus on the barrel of the lens.
When we screened the film, and Uneasy Lies the Mind, at the Mobile Motion Film Festival, Ricky Foshheim flew over to give a great masterclass on how they went about creating the film.
Apps we use, we've all heard of FiLMiC Pro. It's mandatory. you've got to use that app. It's so cool. I think it's 10 or 15 bucks now. They're charging. It's worth every penny. We shot the movie with the native codec H.264. FiLMiC Pro actually allows you to increase the bit rate.
You can also check out Ricky Foshheim's making of movie on YouTube, and I'll put another link in the description. So that's it for part 1. If you don't want to miss part 2, then make sure to subscribe. Just make sure you click that bell now so you don't miss it.